All right, there we go. Good morning and welcome to today's live show. Yeah, I know I had to. My settings got messed up there for a sec. I just had to select the device. We're good to go. We're good to go. So today we got to get some technical analysis going because we have this market that overall is moving relatively sideways. Seeing those MACDs get really close to the center line, I actually think we were good to mention an hourly chart because that 30-minute, once it starts to look really elongated, it's not necessarily the best look, right? We get really close to that center line. We can see wonky price action. We want confirmation from a clear chart here. That's going to be the hourly. If we can curl up on the hourly, then we do have that daily expected move of 601.83 to the upside, 591.97 to the downside. For the SPY, this would take us outside of that monthly expected move, so be aware of that. The Qs, today we do see those daily expected moves. So we did post these to Patreon. We posted a little update video because I just didn't have time last night. So I made like a 10-minute video really quick. 518.09 to the upside for the Qs and 507.73 to the downside for the Qs. Okay, so we'll pay attention to these areas. We are curling, down overall, saying, hey, we're pulling back with time. We're reacting to the 5. This is where we can pay attention. If we're going to head down a little bit more, okay. We'll still watch what is going on here. A couple things we're paying attention to, obviously, over at AMC and GME, seeing if these 30 minutes can curl back up, right? This is really close to doing something crazy. So if that's able to curl back up, that will be something to pay attention to. No cam today just because the stream was a little bit glitchy on my end, right? It was glitchy on my end. So I just want to give that a break for today. We do see GME the same thing, right? The 30-minute was crossing down here, has divergence, which is leaning this towards, hey, that can go negative. But if that curls back up, this can just be some great structure to head higher, right? We have a bullish case, we have a bearish case. We're just waiting to see which one plays out. The one that would tell you if it's playing out to the downside is if we get a nice juicy red bar and this 2 hours able to cross, then you are then in a 2-hour pullback, and most likely it is fought going into Friday. Remember, as we approach Friday and you're not already seeing something crazy on Monday or Tuesday, a little bit more likely they fight the stock. And we know they're fighting the stock, by the way. The short selling is increasing rapidly. So they are very fearful of the buying that's coming in. One thing that is very important to look at is gold. GLD still dropping down to lower levels. This is outside of a monthly, outside of a weekly, and this thing is just dropping, not making that right shoulder in any way. So this one's a little worrisome, and you are curling over very dramatically. As all the stocks load, it's going to take a second. But you see this weekly bar. That is an awful weekly bar. Now you're going down towards that weekly 20. We'll see what happens from there. But you need to notice that is crossing down on a weekly chart, meaning, gold could be in a bigger overall pullback, maybe to 224.26. Somewhere in this area right here is where we'll pay attention. We have a line, first one at 217.21. As important. So gold really not liking things. It is way outside of expected moves, and that is interesting, isn't it? All right, so some things opening up. We're going to look at the SPY here on, well, a weekly chart. We can look at this on a weekly chart because this is how we know that some more dramatic selling can come in. I do think this will happen very soon. I just think we need to make these shorter time frame signals in order for us to see it. Right? I do think we are going to see some kind of corrective move. Does not mean by any means, it doesn't mean that we're overall bearish, like there's going to be some kind of crash. There can be, so we want to pay attention to those signals. It's still there, right? Volatility, if we still have that 50 above the 200, then we have a shot of something bad happening. Now we have crossed below the 200, so the most likely thing here is we are going to reach down to 1212 at some point. Will we get a reaction up and then reach back down? We'll see. Okay, but as we do close below the 200 multiple times, there's only one thing in here that's saying, hey, this can turn up. That would be a 2-hour divergence right now. I'm not necessarily liking this too much. I just don't see it at the same time on the SPY. That's something we talked about on Patreon last night in our update video. Very brief, but just saying, hey, this could be a 2-hour divergence that pops. It's just you do not see it on the SPY at the same time. Usually you want to see those signals at the same time. So what if we make that now? What if we go do that now? That's what we'll pay attention to. YouTube was doing an update. Should be better off now. We'll give it a try tomorrow. But yeah, my stuff was just wonky as hell for a little bit there. But good morning, good morning. Luke looks like Lurk and Luke's got a play out there today. 120 strikes on Disney. Disney? Is that right? Ooh, Disney. Wow, what an upside move for Disney. Great move there. Oh, it's almighty Affirm. Yeah, let's go look at that real quick. We haven't looked at that in a little bit. Affirm, I mean, the only thing you got here is you got the divergence, but it's not on the MACD, right? It's not on the MACD. You kind of would say, hey, maybe you have an elongated divergence. Maybe we need to check on a 4-hour because that's a big move. See something like this, but you're seeing it not on the MACD at the same time. So this could be pullback mode to go retest a key level, maybe like $50 and then turn back up. I think that would be good. But the 2-hour here has crossed, so it's overall saying a 2-hour pullback is the most likely scenario. I like this level right here. We can see those closing bars in there. We can see there's resistance right in here as well that can become support. So I really like that level of 49 to 50. But yeah, you're just pretty much in pullback mode. Now, did you have a hint of the pullback coming? I mean, we probably will see something small right here, but it won't be on the MACD at the same time. God, it's still fucking up. It's still not loading very well. It's lame. Yeah, so you still have to be aware here that the 30-minute is by the center line, and that 2-hour could be turning down and just turn right back up for a second. No real reversal signals in here. You got divergence on the RSI. You can see how that's pointing down at the peak from the first big move up. We see that's just pointing down, but no real curl up, just a rejection. I like the curl up to be there, to be honest, and we're reacting to the 5. So be aware that the 30-minute can turn up into positive territory. And then once that does happen, if it creates the divergence, that's more when I would say the 2-hour pullback is coming. Do I think that this thing will crash down? Well, we have a divergence on the RSI, so it wouldn't surprise me. Do I think it most likely will turn back up? Yes, I think most of the time you do want to make this divergence at the same time on these charts. And maybe you see a little 111 in the near price action for the RSI, and you get one single one here. I think that would be a better scenario. So 30-minute move up, then we pull down, then we maybe cross back up, and then you see this stuff start to shape up by the end of the month. I think that would be likely. But it's more just what we're talking about with the firm is more just like, hey, just paying attention to the signals, right? The 30 minutes, what you want to watch first thing. Because if this 30 minutes starts to turn up, hey, good things can happen. If it keeps going down, then you're going, okay, the 2-hour pullback's there, and maybe I need to pay attention to 49 to 50, somewhere in that range. I have to not be over greedy. Not talking about I made some gambling style investment and happy it did not turn out badly. That's all right. That's all right. Something, that's what we say. That's why I have a fun account. Okay, it's just for if I want to take some kind of crazy play, if I want to take those plays back and forth on something like AMC or something like that, something that's a little more skeptical, I guess, of when the timing of that will happen. So this here is important for TLT, still able to hold the little low here. Very important because that is actually a divergence. We don't see it on the MACD. We don't see it on the RSI. So you do have it across on the 4-hour, but that 4-hour is, I believe, turned negative yesterday. Yeah, so you need this 4-hour to curl up, and that means, hey, big move incoming for TLT. We did get data this morning, but we also get Jerome Powell talking later on today, if I'm correct on that. Let's see. Let me just double check. Jerome Powell talks today an hour before the close. I think it's at a certain thing. I think it's just at like a business thing or something like that, or an economic forum, something like that. Let's see. Economic outlook, a conversation with Federal Reserve Jerome Powell, Texas. The economic outlook. Music hall. Global perspectives with Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. We know that he was overall saying everything's okay, everything's okay, everything's okay. And so he most likely will continue to say everything's okay, everything's okay, everything's okay. Oxy, yeah, bad with the earnings or a bad reaction to data. Ended up wicking all the way up. Okay, so that's very, very cool. We did have the golden setup here for the most part. You really had it more in this drop, I think it was. Then you get the higher low. So you do have it, and it's still curling up, which just tells you, hey, the weekly scale can start to turn up here. Okay, you can see a good move from this still. Yeah, reaction bad with the earnings, and then it gets bought up. So we'll see if that does happen. If that weekly turns up, it would suggest, hey, that can experience some positivity, right? Weekly turns up, a little bit of positivity. Weekly turns up, a little bit of positivity. Okay, so we're deep into negative territory, so that doesn't have to be a fantastic move, right? You can notice this decent move here, you had divergence a little bit. Well, actually, you didn't even have divergence there. Actually, it was this low down here that you had a rejection divergence for the double bottom. That was the good move. So this would just be curling up. You got to see if that can go positive, but you do have reversal signals on the daily, on the 2 hour, on the 30-minute, all in this bad boy. So if you want to learn how to trade things like this, I know the earnings didn't really look very good right away, but the golden setup was here. The golden setup is in the course down in the description, the technical analysis course, the full technical analysis course, what I think you need to know in order to trade based on technicals or to really see this type of behavior, right? Really tell when there's going to be reversals. And we are going to, I'm working on it right now. So if you guys want to throw a couple of, make sure they're stocks that have been around for a while, maybe stocks that we do cover on this channel. Actually, if there is a stock that you would like me to go through and look back when we are in a quote unquote bear market, okay, and I'll go through those and show you the times where trade setups were there in the course down in the description, the technical analysis course, because we said we were going to do an examples video, and I wanted to do a few. So if you have 3 stocks that we cover that you really enjoy and you want to see how they behaved in the bear market, if we saw some moves that could have played out to the upside, that is what we will be putting out on in the course. So I'd really like your help. If you can just mention maybe some of the stocks that you would like to see us go over back in those times to show you guys how those behave. Because a lot of it will behave like this, right? We see this, we get a bounce. We see this, we see this, we see this, we see this on the daily, on the 2 hour, on the 30-minute, and they play out most of the time, right? A huge percent of the time, those are great, great, great basing out signals. So if you have a stock you want us to go over, let me know and we'll put that out there. I'm going to start working on that very, very hard. Copy money. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am seeing a potential pullback to 250 on Mstr. Yeah, we did go over this yesterday. So let's look at this. Let's look at this again, just see if anything else has developed. I think this was overall saying, right, like a pullback, right? A daily pullback would make sense. But do we have signals that that's going to pull back just yet? Exactly that, dude. I like it. I like the reminder, right? Be risk managed. Manage that risk, which means not only managing the trade, but managing position size, okay? We are in a bullish trend. So if we are taking any kind of downside plays, we maybe even want to manage the position size. Now, for MicroStrategy, the problem with saying, hey, we're going to get that daily pullback right now is you don't have any of those signals. You just have a great move up. And if that can pull down, if this can pull down to the center line and create the reversal signal, that's most of the time what you will see before that daily does turn down. Obviously, the daily can just turn down, but that would be more of a random occurrence, not necessarily a momentum hint. That's what I'm hearing is going. I'm saying, like, as far as an investment perspective on the weekly scale, all of those signals would say that weekly is going to turn up, and that might be a good investment for a little bit of time. Now, everything can change. You have to know how to manage risk and all that stuff, Jackal, you know what I mean? But for the most part, it looks like a good setup for that weekly to turn up. And then if that weekly can go positive, because it's very negative, actually. So if that can go positive, that would be more when I'm thinking about it. You know what I mean? But for MicroStrategy here, just you don't have reversal signals. So you could even come down, you could fill this gap, use it as support, then head higher and then look out. And then maybe you take the course and you say, hey, I can make a weekly expected move. I teach you how to make those very simply so that you're not wasting a bunch of time for all these stocks. You can just do it real quick. It takes like 3 clicks on any trading platform, but we use my fun account on Robinhood just to do it. That's right, I do use a fun account on Robinhood. I just never got rid of it, and it is my shit account. But for the most part, we need to see reversal signals here, and having that weekly move can really help. How we do that using Robinhood, it doesn't give you the most accurate reading in the world, right? It doesn't give you the most accurate reading, but it might be off just by $1 or so. So you might see it at like, hey, if this dips down, you might see it at 370. Right, so somewhere towards here, and maybe that expected move is like here, right, at like 3. It could be that big of a difference, actually. It could be like 377, and then you see, oh, we get up past that level. So that's just one thing to note about that over on the course there. Remember, guys, it's only 90% off for like 2 more weeks, okay? So you got to get it while it lasts. TLT is still trying to base out here. We'll see what happens. Hey, I use Hood. Hey, that's okay. I don't think it's like horrible. I just don't think it's great for like if you're trading a lot. If you're trading pretty often, I don't like even position style trades. You get screwed on that position price a lot of the time, just a little bit, just enough to make it a little less good for you, which over time that can start to add up. IWM turned back down on a 30-minute. Let me go look at that, and then maybe we'll take a look over at coin, okay, Ifoma? Give me one moment here. And I'm sorry if I'm missing anything in the chat. I'm just trying to really look at what's going on here. Okay, so we did reject here. We did reject here, so it looks like we're getting that 2-hour pullback, maybe even right now. Okay, we're getting that 2-hour pullback. So what do we need to pay attention to? The fact that this is still positive, there are no reversal signals. There are no reversal signals. So a lot of people might be talking about crash, and there are some interesting, crazy behavior happening. So you have to be aware if that keeps going. What we're talking about is if this can base out in some way and then turn up into positive territory, that's the opportunity. If we end the week towards the bottom side expected move, that could even continue into next week, and we could go down to 227. Right, and then turn up. You just want to see if that's getting by the center line. We want to see if there's any structure in here to tell us it's basing out. Sometime, a lot of the time in bullish trends, since we're not above like 15 right now for volatility, you're most likely not going to see. Actually, is volatility above 15 now? Yeah, no, it's not. So you're not necessarily always going to see divergences at these lows for bullish trends. Bullish trends like to just go to an area and then spike back up, right? And then we see this just go boop, and then you have the swing trade to the upside, take out the high, go make a new one. That's what happens a lot of the time with bullish trends. And then you'll see like 4 divergences to the upside if you're in a really bullish trend. So it means, you know, more so the opportunities for this moment would most likely be if that would make another move higher. That would be a great opportunity. And then if you start to see divergence, you can do what I do, and I like to scale into little positions. Yeah, FOMA, I hope that we can get into that real quick for coin. Bitcoin looks like it's going to go through a pullback, but I'm nervous to say that just because it's such a rapid move. For coin, you notice what? No reversal signals in here. So do we have a 4-hour reversal signal? Just for coin, I still like to look at Bitcoin. Anything that's related to crypto, I will look at what Bitcoin is doing, and then I'll go look at the structure of coin. But first of all, I can just notice no 2-hour reversal signals here. So I can ask myself, okay, is this going to flush down, or is this just a pullback to head higher? Well, just looking at the stock, you would say pullback to then make another move higher. What do I believe happens with Bitcoin? I believe Bitcoin is forming those 2-hour divergences, which say a 4-hour can roll. The big problem with the 4-hour, you do have a slight divergence, and it's very significant on the RSI. So we can go through some pain here and then end up curling back up into positive territory. Maybe we reach up to 100K. That's what it looks like to me at this moment. If things start to scale up more than that, if the selling goes past, I would say, let's see, I gave these numbers to my buddy who's a Bitcoin trader. I think it was this right here. Yeah, we start to get below, I think, whatever this high is what I pretty much was stating. Yeah, I'll say 70K. If you start to get really, really deep like this and get down towards 70K, 72, I think I said 76 to 73 actually. So if you get below 70K though, you're back in this. You got to watch out for if that thing's rejecting down. But for now, I don't think you have the reversal signals. I don't want to misspeak there. You do have them, but you're so far up in positive territory that you could just see a flash move like this down to 76.7K and then turn right back up. And do you notice how that would add up to now what we're experiencing with coin? If we were going to see coin really reverse down, this divergence would look more like that, right? We would see this very dramatic, very much so close to the center line. It is something we talk extensively about in those courses. The center line, the center line, the center line, negative and positive territory, the MACD. Really understanding the MACD can help you, not just knowing, hey, if this crosses up, that means momentum's going up. No, you got to learn a little bit deeper than that to really understand it in order to use it as a tool. Okay, so this does not have the best reversal signals. So when you go back over to coin, does that make sense for coin to go higher? Well, you would say it kind of does. It kind of does. You don't have 4-hour divergence. You don't have 2-hour divergence. You just have a 2-hour that's going to dramatically pull back after a dramatic move. We can hold up at that gap. We can hold up anywhere. We just want to see if that is confirming momentum and maybe if we get a 30-minute hint in something like coin. And then we can also use Bitcoin to do it because Bitcoin trades more often. Bitcoin trades more often and you're looking for that 4-hour turn up. So what could end up actually happening for Bitcoin is, what if we actually confirm down like this, we see some kind of bounce like that, and then we curl down again, and you see something more along the lines of like, hey, we get this, this, this. That's what I'm going to be looking for. Bitcoin trades a lot, right? Trades all the time. So I would really look for Bitcoin reversal signals, and then coin usually does follow. Usually, sometimes it's not the same exact time. Not the same exact time, but it can be a good indication that coin is trying to base out if Bitcoin is trying to base out. Yeah, TLT, something interesting with that is just the 10-year yield. 10-year yield kind of trying to make a double top here. Could be consolidation to head higher, right? It still could be this consolidative move to actually head higher. Be aware of that because we're seeing some crazy stuff out there. But if the 4-hour is saying something, it's saying, hey, if I cross over here, I'm really freaking weak. This thing has been weak for a long, long time now. That's why these type of, whenever you're in a bullish trend on pretty much anything, just know that that can always continue, especially in the upward direction. Look at this. Just look at it compared to the bottom. Compare it to the bottom real quick. We're going to really look at this. You see this. Awesome. What happened? Tons and tons and tons and tons of divergences on the 4-hour. What did we see at the bottom? One little divergence, one flat divergence on the RSI. We go down for another dip. You make another divergence point for the RSI. You curl up into positive territory. You're good to go. Right? Rejection, or actually not even rejection divergence, actually real divergence. So one triple divergence here, very smooth, very easy. Boom. We get pullbacks, and then we just keep heading higher, keep heading higher, keep heading higher. But then what do you see on the other move? Oh, God, you just see like 20 of them. So that's why it's like, okay, I need to pay attention anytime that's close to the center line. That would have been here, okay, didn't play out, manage risk. Here, a little bit further away, but maybe that was a fake out. Ooh, manage risk. And then now you have it again. So something that's messing with this is a lot of data. You have to be aware anytime a 2-hour curls up, that 4-hour is not going to curl down. So if this 2-hour curls down, curls back up, positivity. So why are we talking about all these things? Because TLT is doing the same thing in the opposite direction. It's making a ton of little divergences. You're building a ton of liquidity in here. And if that wants to, at some point, you could see a breakout to the upside, but you could see that breakout to the downside continue. Okay, it's very risky to take things early here. Remember, management of the trade, very important throughout this. Very wonky trade. But if that 2-hour, and I'd more say if the 4-hour can turn up, I really like the 4-hour for TLT. If the 4-hour can turn up here, you are holding all the divergence points on the RSI. And look at this, you're getting closer. Every single time this fakes out, you're getting closer and closer and closer to what? The center line. The center line. That's when you start paying attention. This one here, we were like, yeah, this is a divergence. This could reverse around, but you're not very close to the center line, so just watch out if you have to manage a trade. Hey, manage a trade. This one here, we go, oh, it rejected. Maybe that's going to turn around. Nope, manage a trade. Now we're getting closer and closer to the center line, which means it looks more and more likely to go into a positive trend for TLT. GLD at the weekly spot. GLD is just dumping. GLD is dumping, crossing over on a weekly scale. This is a very bad sign for GLD. It is a very, very bad sign. Now, this did have divergences. It got rid of those. Okay, so this means that 30-minute cross down, what do we have to do? We have to manage risk. Okay, the 30-minute has crossed down. Right, so this could turn around today, but it's also crossing on the weekly scale, and you are just seeing this head straight down. So if GLD is going to get a reaction, it really needs to see that by the end of the week. Oxy aiming up, good. Yeah, Oxy still look like great signals. Obviously, it's like, hey, anything can happen with earnings. It dips way down. It wicks all the way back up. Of course it does. You know what I mean? Of course it does. But, you know, we get fake outs with earnings all the time. Appeal, thank you so much for getting the technical analysis course down there in the description. Really appreciate it. Let me know what you think about it. And we're going to put out examples. Hopefully I can get that done by the weekend. All right, let's go look at the SPY, see what's happening over there. We're seeing some more little bits of selling come in. The 30-minute has crossed down. You're close to negative territory. It's gonna be a rough one. Mostly just moving sideways still, though. You see that mostly still moving sideways. Further now, the direction is down. Remember, if we're gonna see a confirmed move up, I'd really like to see the hourly able to confirm this. Once you start to leak down too far, you move sideways for too long, you can't really pay attention to that 30-minute. It's too elongated. You need a confirmation on a bigger time frame. What's Nvidia doing? Nvidia still relatively controlled. Still relatively controlled. The 30-minute might be elongated here as well, but this one more so, not as much time behind it, so I would like a 30-minute curl up. I think a 30-minute curl up here actually would say, hey, this is some kind of consolidation to head higher. Very, very controlled. Very, very controlled. So the only time you get a little bit worried about Nvidia is if the daily's crossing. So let's check on that because it's very, very close to doing that. If the daily does cross down, that would be a bad sign for Nvidia for now. It does have a reversal signal in it. You do have that. It got a little bit more significant. We talked about that in the update video on Patreon last night. We just see that if that would cross, that would be a little bit rough. So if we're going to see some kind of upward move, you need that 30-minute to curl up. Why do you need the 30-minute to curl up? Because you need that 2-hour to curl up, and that could be a massive fake out before we actually get earnings. We'll see what happens. A lot can happen with earnings. Very hard to bet against Nvidia with earnings. It's a rough one, right? Earnings is always a 50-50 flip. PCC coming at 0.78 right now. A lot of calls seeming to come in. For volatility, something to watch here is if that 30-minute does curl back down. It might have. Hasn't curled down yet. So the only thing with the 2-hour here, you don't have that 30-minute signal and you don't have the signals on the SPY at the same time. I'd really like it to be on the SPY at the same time to see a bigger drop. SMCI, someone bringing up that. This thing is not looking pretty, okay? This thing looks pretty damn bad. You can see the daily scale just keeps turning down. The original divergence, hey, all that led to, it's deep in negative territory. All that led to was sideways. We cross down. Ugliness continues, okay? We actually cut through this pretty easily, in my opinion, right? Right before we get to it, what do? We consolidate to get that big drop, and that drop continues. So we could end up all the way down to 939, and that would make sense. But SMCI, that's a massive move down. That's a crash, right? That is a crash. That is a crash. Turn down, turn up, crash. That is definitely a crash for SMCI. And at the top, what'd you get at the top? What'd you get at the top? Really significant divergence. Man, if you had a weekly expected move here and you saw that, you would go, hey, I'm buying puts for a month or two. Oh, goodness. That is a massive, massive weakness on the RSI there. You can see how low that is. 97 all the way down to a reading of about 72. That is bad. Nvidia's doesn't look that bad yet. We shall see, my friends. All right, so we just keep our eye on the SPY. That's what we're gonna do this morning. Keep our eye on the SPY. I'm gonna look at some other charts real quick. What's your prediction on Nvidia earnings next week? I don't really want to predict anything with earnings because it's a 50-50 flip. So if I'm predicting anything with earnings, I might talk about the technicals and say what they are mostly predicting. But even the technicals is a 50-50 flip. I mean, technically, look at what Oxy did. It had all the perfect setup and it flushed down first, but then it ended up wicking up. So now it still looks like the divergences that we were paying attention to, the really golden setup we were paying attention to, right? Now it's looking like that might play out. So very interesting for sure. I'm gonna pull up my other charts real quick. I want to switch it to that. Yeah, and so first thing that pops up for me, GLD seeing a massive move down. You're about to fill a gap. You're about to fill a gap at like 235.50. That's crazy. That is something crazy. You're seeing something crazy for the week. Actually, to start the week, you gapped down below and saw something crazy, and you have not bought back up since. The divergence that you did make, it did not play out at all. Like it went up for what? A 1.5, 2 points, and then just continued to flush. Interesting. Are we going to get a snapback from gold and a snap down from the market? That'll be interesting. But we don't have reversal signals to prove it yet. On either one, you don't have reversal signals really from gold anymore. Maybe I need to look at the futures here. Let me go look at the futures. Maybe they'll give us a hint. Okay. Futures are kind of saying like now could be a time for gold to bounce. Yeah, futures are saying now could be a time for a 2-hour snapback. So not necessarily in the price action here, but the futures are telling us, hey, this 2-hour has a good chance for it bounce. Now, what could that bounce to now? Is that going to go all the way to 245? Are we going to see, hey, we needed to make structure to actually head down and we're going to go do that now? We just got excited? Or is that just going to be some kind of lackluster move to retest the breakdown area of 241.04? Right? You see this level in here, very important. We stop at that level, we retest those levels twice, and we keep flushing. So I'll put a line here. And if we hit that area, that's where resistance can start to come in. I want to make sure to get the bottom of this. Actually, I want the bottom of that one. There you go. So right in there is where we need to see if that can get above. If that gets above there and holds, then 245.74 does look possible. This is a major move down. Let's say if we're going to stop from where we're at right now, we would say, hey, let's kind of take a little bit of a move here and just say, okay, we could snap all the way back up to 249.69, right? If this is really just getting excited and we need to go make that handle, you could see a solid snap to maybe fill a gap or two. I know there's one gap here, and futures is saying the 2-hour has some signals. If you want to see those, by the way. This would be risky, though. It's curled over on the weekly. This would be risky, but you do have a 2-hour signal in here. You have this. You have 2-hour triple divergence across for the MACD, and you're seeing, hey, can that cross up? If it can, it would say, hey, I'm going to retake this 5 and go test a key level. I think these two levels are what I'd really be paying attention to. Cool stuff. AMC, GME, still looking okay. Ooh, we got a wick up to the weekly expected move there for AMC. That's rough. So they do not, especially on Friday, they do not want this to close above that line. Okay, so if you're going to see this thing go up again, you got to see that 30-minute confirming saying, hey, yeah, momentum is taking us up. If that's going to reject and keep rejecting, watch out, because GME might be hinting here, right? If this is going to turn back down here, not able to curl up on a 30-minute, well, there is divergence. There's some major divergence up here that can turn down the 2-hour. And that 2-hour is trying to turn down right now. So you might be in 2-hour pullback mode. Does it mean it's dead? No, it means look if that 2-hour can turn back up, right? That would mean maybe the timing's a little bit off here. This is great buying. This is great buying, and they're going to really try to fight the stock. But this is exactly where that fight will happen, and we get exact touches of those weekly expected moves on both the GME and AMC. So to see something crazy, this is our 68% zone. To see something crazy, you got to get past that. 2-hour trying to cross down. Right as, weirdly enough, I think right as Bitcoin gives us some reversal signals for the 4-hour to come down in a bigger pullback. It's very interesting. Apple really tried to carve this out as a higher low. It's trying, but notice it is really struggling to go positive. That 225.84, not able to really remain above that for an extended period of time. You need to remain above that. You need to go positive to see that next move higher. I'm still leaning towards Apple getting to here eventually, but what if it needs to turn down first again, and all of this was some form of consolidation to actually head lower, right? So if we just draw a little line across like this, if we dropped lower, that would be interesting. Still want to see if it sets something up for us, because you don't necessarily have a good setup here anymore. This could all be, shit, this could all be a big ass cup and a handle to actually head down. You really look at that. I don't know if this violated it. Nvidia, okay, we're seeing that positivity come in a little bit for Nvidia. What is it, 30-minute, pay attention. If that does cross up, it would say, hey, this has been a good consolidative move. I have divergence, but I'm very controlled. A lot of wicked coming in right now. If that would curl up, hey, we have the chance to cut out these highs, maybe go make a new one. And then we gotta watch out. If this is making a little 2-hour divergence, I'd be on my toes. If this moves quick, be careful. Meta not liking any real positivity here, not able to curl up on a 2-hour yet. Microsoft, this one is not looking the best, right? We're really struggling in our zone here where the sellers could be lurking. If that 2-hour crosses over again, I'd be a little cautious there. You're pretty close to the center line. I don't think we necessarily see good divergences, right? We don't see that. We see it on maybe the MACD, but not the RSI. So that would mean maybe this is some kind of pullback to actually gear up to head past that zone. For now, we're still talking about mainly bullish things in a lot of stocks, but Google is one that we can get a little bearish on. All right, Google is one that we mentioned there could be some kind of divergence here, and then we also mentioned, hey, that could be a cup and handle, right? This could be a cup, there could be a little handle here. Now we want to watch out if that handle is producing an upward move that creates a divergence, and that's exactly what's happening here. And then you cross down, and now you're starting to confirm down, maybe even on a 4-hour. And 4-hour, you see that divergence there as well, not on the MACD at the same time. So this could just be a 4-hour pullback, go fill a gap, and then we turn back up. This would be suggesting that it's very difficult for the SPY and the Qs to make that upward move, and maybe they see a further 2-hour pullback right now. Maybe this is building liquidity to see some kind of drop, and then we see us go back up over time. We'll see. I would really like the 2-hour to get by that center line, so I'm perfectly fine with this happening. And I have moves to pay attention to. I have this and I have this. And I can see if we get in this little zone in here, see if we curl down, see if we curl back up. That would be a good little area to pay attention to. All right, let's see yields real quick, and then I might have to peek over at my other charts. 4-hour, gotta pay attention if that's curling down. We'll check on that maybe tomorrow morning. We do get more and more and more data. All right, so it's later today. We will get Fed Jerome Powell, and tomorrow we will get retail sales, export prices, import prices. We'll get all that. I see, and then whatever direction we really pick might be the direction until the FOMC minutes. Interesting. Interesting. Bitcoin, we can still see if a 2-hour turns up, but it is suggesting the 4-hour is more gonna pull back here. Maybe that just pulls back with time. Maybe it's not gonna dip down to really low prices or anything like that. We don't have the best reversal signals for Bitcoin. Nvidia's trying. Trying. Will it succeed? 1, 2, 3. Wonder if it'll be a 4 or 5 push higher to get above a monthly expected move for Nvidia. All right, let's go back over to the Qs. That looks like interesting stuff. See if that 4-hour can cross. But the hourly, want to just watch this. It's really close to the center line now. If we're going to get that move up, the hourly has to turn up into positive territory. We keep getting these wicks in here. All right, so it's a very key level. You know this is a pretty key level at this point. If we're able to hold that, you just do that. Probably go time, and you're probably heading outside of a monthly expected move. Watch out, that can create a 1-hour little divergence there, maybe even a 2-hour one. That would say, hey, watch out, that could reverse. I think this will be a little bit wonky for people, but we'll see. IWM curling down further and further and further. Hourly's by the center line now, so you're really hoping IWM catches some ground here at gap support. That's when it kind of starts, is right here. All right, let's look at the chat. What are you guys chatting about over there? DJT, want to pay attention to this one for a select reason, because you're setting up something here. Right, this could be interesting soon. This could be very interesting soon if this 2-hour can base out and turn up. So I want to see if there's basing out signals. I don't think there are. We'll see. Yeah, you don't have basing out signals yet. So this is saying, like, if I'm able to start to base out right now, that would be good, but I still might need to do something to base out. I still might need to do something to base out. And that's just on the 30-minute. If the 2-hour can turn up, you could just see a strong move. That's what it looks like for DJT to me. Daily scale, you're pulling back, you're pulling back, you're pulling back. Where are you? By the center line. So if I'm by the center line, I want to see if 2-hour divergences are forming. We see that there is 2-hour triple divergence here for the RSI, but it hasn't turned around. That's a key thing. It has not turned around yet, so that can just keep dropping and get rid of those divergence points. But you do have this. If you can taper off one more time, see some kind of reaction up, DJT might see another good move to the upside. Yeah, Oxy was the golden setup. The earnings initially not the best play there. And then what do we do? Well, we turn right back up. We turned right back up. So you more so had the golden setup in here before the earnings, but you're seeing how over time that is showing to be okay. So what all of this means is, and if you don't know what we're talking about, the course is down there. It has the golden setup in it. You can get it for only $100 right now. That's going way up, so at the end of the month. But this is where we just want to see, can this actually produce upside? A confirmation that this is actually playing out for a golden setup is if you're able to turn up on a weekly scale. The golden setup, a lot of the time you want to see if that's really going to play out, then you're going to see the weekly turn up. So it means I can take a chance with it. I can manage risk in the time for the time being, because if a 2-hour turns down, bad things can happen. You're still close to the center line. But if this just shows the positivity and that weekly turns up, it would say, hey, this might be a good investment for just a little bit of time. Yeah, we haven't talked about Tesla today. I feel like we should talk about Tesla. Tesla, again, giving you the 2-hour saying, I need to pull back further. So what we were figuring out is, are we going to make a 30-minute divergence first? Are we going to go make an hourly, because that's very extended? Are we going to make an hourly divergence now? Or is the 2-hour just going to keep pulling back? And, you know, the bigger time frame is usually what you lean towards. And that 2 hours saying, hey, I need to pull back further right now. We don't necessarily see reversals there. 4 hours probably going to say, hey, I need to pull back right now. So we might be going through a 4-hour pullback. We might go through a few days of pain. A few days of pain for Tesla. And that wouldn't be necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying that this is a great move higher. Maybe this is just going to be some profit taking and repositioning, but we could end up down towards these levels of 275 and then curl up into positive territory. And that would be a great sign for this to actually head higher for a few weeks. I don't see anything that says like, hey, I don't think I did. Yeah, we don't necessarily see anything that says this should turn around, so you might be in that extended 2-hour, 4-hour pullback. And Nvidia might give you a fake out. That'd be nice. I'm down with that. Get outside of a weekly or something. Stretch it out. Stretch it out. I will look at Rocket Lab real quick, but this is just going to be a big move with earnings, guys. So whenever you ask me about a stock like this, all I'm going to say is that's a massive move and you need to wait for an opportunity. The opportunity would not be at the high of these bars, right? You've already seen a massive move. You're hoping that gets a pullback. It doesn't have to. It's just saying to be a good trader, you want to make sure that the opportunity that you're taking at this moment is good. The opportunity is not good here, right? It's too risky because this thing could fall, and it fell. And then you see that get by the center line, and then you see that retest the 5, and then that curls back up. That's more the shorter term opportunity. But if you're going to go through an extended pullback, hey, that 2-hour could cross down too. So we could come all the way down, fill this gap, and then turn back up, right? So I just want to wait and see what a 30-minute does. I want to wait and see what a 2-hour does if that curls down. I think that's possible, Dave. I'm kind of with you on that. It's just some of the signals we're seeing out there from like Google and other things. Some of these signals are saying, hey, we could drop right now. Like Tesla. Tesla's saying, hey, I could pull back right now. But it doesn't mean it cannot make the hourly move higher. I'm just saying if that's going to happen, we're going to know about it. We're going to see that hourly turn up. Then we're going to see it maybe hit a weekly expected move. Then we're going to see it fall down, and you're going to see it on the hourly for the SPY now because the SPY looks, on the 30-minute looks a little wonky. But look at this. It would set up, hey, a test of the weekly. Maybe we test the weekly next week. But you would overall say, hey, this is what I'm looking for going forward for an actual reversal. If we just curl down, hey, that could be a bigger time frame, just pull back. A 2-hour could be pulling back more. Yeah, I can't get right. And that's just how I want to treat those type of stocks, right? If I see a massive move, I'm not sitting there going, oh, I'm going to get FOMO'd in. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. No, I'm going to be like, all right, let me be patient and see if an opportunity sets up now that I know the direction. Amazon, let's go check on that one real quick because someone pointed out there is 30-minute divergence. You're seeing it on the hourly as well. If the 30 minutes too extended here, make sure that's confirming on an hourly. It is confirming on a 30-minute. It's pretty dramatic, but I would like that to confirm on an hourly. It is saying that the 2-hour can pull back here, right? We'll see if that's on the, you see it on the RSI very, very plainly. We'll see if it's on the MACD real quick as that loads up, but there we go. It is on the 2-hour as well. So Amazon is saying, hey, I can see a bigger drop. That's what it's saying. It's saying my momentum is weaker than other stocks. It says, hey, I could even reverse down the daily scale. So this could be something not very good for something like Amazon. This could be a daily pullback. But what did I say about these upward moves? Bullish moves, they always usually have, you know, especially when volatility is lower, they do like to have 2, 3, sometimes 4 divergences. So you want to make sure it's close to the center line. So we would look at this and go, how close to the center line are we? Well, we're relatively close, but we're still got some space in here before we hit that center line. So anytime that that curls back up, I should be aware that that can go higher. If that just does this and then curls back up, I should be aware that that can go higher. And then that would be more the one that I want to pay attention to, the one that's really close to the center line. If you want to learn this stuff, guys, it's over in the course, right? It's down there in the description. It ends, the sale ends at the end of the month. Maybe we'll do something for Christmas. I keep saying that because I'm like, maybe we will. I'm trying to convince myself to do that, you know. I think Nvidia really wants to try it, but I gotta see hourly confirmation here. Probably need to see a 2-hour divergence for this to fall. Are we gonna get a flash move up and then just correct? That's what it really looks like now for Nvidia. Like a flash 2-hour move and then that just starts correcting. That'd be interesting. All right, out of the stocks that we do cover on this channel in our updates at night, which stock would you like to see us go over the bear market back in the day? What would you like to see as some examples of how to trade in a bear market? That's what we're going to be putting out on the course, right? We add to the course. If you already got it, right? If we add to it and you already got it, you get that info, right? I've gotten some questions about that this week, actually. And I overall just say, you know, I don't know who does it, but someone's asking like, oh, does $100 only buy me an hour access to it? I'm like, no. Like, no, you get it. It's yours. For a longer swing, Siri for a longer swing. Nice weekly divergence for Siri. Let's see. Let's check the weekly first since you're bringing it up. Palantir, you want to see Palantir? Damn, that is some good weekly divergence, and you're getting this to flag out on the weekly scale here. Is that a daily pullback? Because that would be nice. And now you're starting to flash some green here. Is this able to curl up a monthly? That's what you're going to ask yourself over the next few weeks. You're going, that means this monthly might actually be able to curl. Ooh, look at the monthly too. I know you were looking at the weekly, but if you look at the monthly, this can be a pretty good snap move. It's not on the MACD, but look down at that RSI. Ooh, that is a good little direction for divergence. It's not on both at the same time, so that means most likely this is some kind of bounce that will fail. That's the most likely thing. It doesn't have to, but that is something that is likely here. And you can see a solid move. This would tell you that Siri might see some upside for a few months. I'm printing and left some runners. Let's go, Nazim. And Palantir was interesting, right? Palantir seeing a massive move. Look at that monthly, right? Massive move. What's the big problem here? Well, we kind of talked about this. Well, that weekly expected move is there, and we're looking for that reversal signal for the 2-hour to pull down. And now you're seeing what? You're seeing the reversal signal get really close to the center line. That's what's important. It's really close to the center line. Okay, so we still can curl up. Be aware of that. We're retesting the 5. This could just be like this to go higher. So pay attention if that 30-minute turns up. But it is suggesting that this 2-hour needs to dip down to lower prices. Your monthly and your weekly expected moves, I believe, are saying the same thing. Are saying the exact same thing. So you're back within the weekly, and now you have a chance to go all the way back down to $49 by the end of the month. Does it have to happen? No, this is a massive move up. We could use those levels as support, right? We could go tag 50 and then turn back up into positive territory. You do not have great reversal signals on the 2-hour. If anything, you would say, hey, if this can dip down, maybe to go down towards 53, 54, and then turn back up, and then we see that would be your major reversal, and then watch out if that thing flushes. Because at the end of the month, that would be something very interesting to see. Could just flush right now, though. We'll see. We got to see if that 30 minutes turning back up, but solid little trade setup. Even if you took it with the 30-minute crossover, hey, you should be in profit by this point. See if it can extend. If that 30-minute curls up, got to manage risk. EJT still dropping. AMD was interesting on the 2-hour, by the way. You're getting some lows in here saying AMD could bounce. This is what's interesting. It's like some stocks you're seeing, hey, this thing needs to pull back. Some stocks you're seeing, hey, this thing needs to bounce. Are we going to see people kind of take some profit and rotate into other stocks that are getting beat up? We will find out eventually. Being patient is the game for now. I want to go check on this again, by the way. Sorry, I'm going to look at chat in a moment, but okay. All right, so something to pay attention to right now, gold futures. Gold futures on the 2 hour. This is the only signal I have for gold to base out throughout this whole move, really, on futures. You have triple divergence on the MACD, still relatively far away from that center line, but you do have it on the RSI at the same time in the near price action, okay? Very, very slight. Not the best, but very slight. Enough to say, hey, I can get a reaction here, maybe for a retest of some key levels. All right, we'll find out. But that is saying that GLD can see a bounce here, even with the kind of no signals on the actual chart from the 30-minute. You might have it a little bit, but I think you got rid of it. Okay, you do see it on gold on the 30-minute. You're just not seeing the triple one, right? You're just seeing this. You're just seeing this. That is divergence. That can lead to a 2-hour pop. What's the 2 hour got? It has no divergence or anything, so that could just get close to the center line. That could just move sideways. That could retest 241. That could retest 245 to 246. That could go fill a gap and then just turn back down. Because we didn't make structure to head down, so now what if we create that structure now? That's kind of what I'm thinking for gold. Or are we going to see this thing just snap back all of a sudden? You're just seeing basing out signals. Play the signals until they look bad, right? You have an hour 45 for that to confirm in the futures. Let's go look over here. Let's look over here. Let's look over. Okay, IWM is right now on top of its monthly expected move, about to go to the weekly. And we don't have basing out signals for IWM just yet. All we would have is a support level. So what do we want to see with this? Well, if we're going to actually use this, what's going to happen is, hey, maybe this is a cup, maybe there's a handle, right? And then that falls down again. But if this wanted to, what if it turns up, you see something that looks like a handle, it turns back down, and then, ooh, you see something like that. That would tell you, hey, that 2 hours got a good shot to roll up. I kind of hope that actually happens, because that would be a nice little setup. Want to keep my eye over on AMC and GME. I'm just seeing positive things there, seeing positivity over on my right, so I want to see if that 30-minute curls up at any time. We are holding up at higher prices. Man, that's a good sign, actually. It's a great sign for AMC and GME. You have reversal signals, which a lot of the time the reversal signals have played out, so very interesting. Despite, I just don't think you want to curl over on a bigger time frame, like a 4 hour. If that 4 hour crosses, yeah, you're going to go back into this zone. That's the most likely thing. We'll see if we can hold up at a weekly, but that might make a new weekly expected move in our zone next week. Right, if we end the week down here, then you would say, okay, well, those weekly expected moves are going to space out. Maybe we end up bound in this zone, and then we curl up into positive territory. So we might be getting that pullback now. I still would like to see that hourly move higher, just a flash move higher. But calls coming in. Dollar starting to roll. The reason we were paying attention to the dollar is because the dollar and the SPY, they're all going up at the same time. So if the dollar is going to experience weakness, maybe the market actually experiences weakness if we keep that positive correlation. And volatility is suggesting I have a 2 hour divergence. I can see some kind of pop here. You're just not seeing it on the SPY at the same time. Qs escalating down to that area. Wonder if we go like, takes a little bit more time. Interesting. TLT now up 0.92, outside of a weekly expected move. Yep. See if that 2 hour can curl up. I think if the 2 hour curls up, I think you're definitely getting towards like $94. As long as everything remains positive, I think $94 is a great level for TLT to get to. And if you want to go a little higher, actually, the great level for TLT to get to would be 95.61. What the hell is going to happen to make TLT burst like that? I wonder if the yields will just come down. Maybe it's Jerome Powell today. Maybe it's data tomorrow. All right, what are you guys chatting about? That reporting error? CHGG, what is CHGG? Let me look at it on my other charts first. If I see anything, I might pull it over. Oh, Chegg, okay. Oh, Chegg really tried to drop there. Very wonky stuff here, so you gotta spread it out. Ooh, that was very close to seeing something bad. Chegg was very close to seeing something bad if that daily rolled over. That could have got a lot worse. You have, in the near price action, you do have something, but there's a $1.71 stock, so it can be very volatile. It's headed straight down on the weekly scale. You're trying to see that weekly get by the center line. You have a little divergence in the RSI, but this would be something that would be kind of a Hail Mary still at this point. You're just dropping off a cliff, unless this is a... Yeah, this thing is dropping off a cliff. It's getting tight. It can see a reaction up. You do have signals for it to see a reaction up. Do I think that would be a good option play? Hell, no, you can't time that very well on that one. It's so wonky on the shorter time frames. You just can't do it. It's so negative. But yeah, weekly doesn't look like awful right now. The daily rejected, that is a holy thank you, because that could have went to 0 if that crossed down. It's trying, it's like in an area where it's trying to go positive too, but. All right, SPY or Qs, what are you gonna do? You gonna wick up again? It's losing the 5, you gotta retake that now. That's worrisome. Tesla's still saying, I'm pulling back. There it is, 2 hours still pulling back. Qs, we gotta see if that can, ooh, wick up. I'm gonna keep my eye on that gold futures. That looks interesting. I'm very intrigued to do some, maybe do something here, but it is just like a 30-minute divergence pretty much. Seeing an hour and 40 minutes, I guess. Volatility is able to turn down right now, right? Going negative. So we'll see if like maybe we make that little, this would be very interesting. You already have a 2-hour divergence. What if we get that flash move higher from the SPY and then we create a little 30-minute divergence here at the same time? That would actually give you the pullback, I think. Very interesting. Let's check on the DIA. Down towards the 5. Trying to base out, actually. DIA doing a better job, I think, of really creating this base, right? Really trying to base. You got to be aware if that's some kind of flagging to just head down. Right, so this is negative, but if that can flash positive, it might be a good thing. I'd really like an hourly cross-up, though. Hourly cross-up, I think you got a good shot to head to a weekly expected move. Maybe even this week, but most likely it would be some kind of daily or weekly expected move next week. These things can take some time, right? We'll see if that can turn up. But I like that we're really holding this level. You just don't want to beat on that door too many times because then you can fall through. Man, are we going to get a flash move up, all-time high, blah, 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 and then, uh-oh. We'll see if the divergences are close to the center line. That'll help us out. Let me see here. Mara still tanking. Bitcoin now down 1.5. Ethereum was one that actually had the reversal signals and structure to head down. Ethereum actually had the structure to head down. So if you look at this 2-hour and you look at this and you go, oh, okay, that's some big divergence there, right? Look how significant that got. That's going to reverse down the 4-hour. We get this, we react down to this level, we get the snapback move to grab liquidity, we fall back down for the head and shoulders. It is breaking. Very good stuff. Now we want to see, is that on a bigger time frame? The 4-hour, you're seeing a slight one here, very dramatic here. So this can be an extended pullback. It can extend down. Maybe 2,800. Maybe even these levels in here would be nice, 27.73. But if this can just go like that, that would be a good sign. Interesting. Very interesting. Now, is this happening? I think people do tie Ethereum to AMC or GME. I don't know how. I need to look at that more. Man, Ethereum is dropping 3.73% in this little 2-hour bar. In 2 hours, you have dropped 3%. Oof. Rough. GME, seeing it. Seeing it. Let's see. Oh God, is that a cup and handle? Is that some kind of consolidation to head higher? Gotta see. That could be a good thing, man. Especially going into Friday. That would be fantastic if you can hold up here on Friday. That's where you start to talk margin calls, folks. Wow. Good stuff. Oh, Apple, you are so lackluster in this. You just aren't looking the best, are you, big guy? You just really want to try to break through 225.84, but you're struggling, man. Let's see. I think we just went over RKLB if you look back just like 5 or 10 minutes. No, you have to just consider the closes. So you want to just mainly consider the closes. And then if it does give you the wick up, you more so want to treat it like, hey, that's a higher low. It's still a good signal, though. Okay, Lurkin Luke? It's still a good signal. You're getting a higher low. And you had the wick down. So they took out the stops, and then you get a higher low, and then that thing curls up and goes positive. That's all good things. It's just not divergence. So, but it still can reverse around the trend. A higher low can reverse around the trend, just like the divergence can reverse around the trend. I'll show you that, right? The reason that we were talking about, hey, yeah, the SPY, barring something crazy happening, the direction looks like it's down. We've confirmed down the weekly. We did talk about the blip, the fact that we didn't lose the 9-week moving average. So, hey, we're basing out here, right? This is where we said, hey, there is divergence here. It looks like we are going to bounce, and then sometime after the election, maybe we fall, right? If we take out the high for the Qs, then we're going to most likely head higher, right? And we might just see a correction. Awesome, but we got a divergence for the SPY. Very obvious. For the Qs, you didn't get that divergence, but you'll notice, hey, rejection, higher, low, still looks good. Same thing. No, I do not, Jeremiah. Yeah, so hopefully you understand. Yeah, it's still a good thing. Even if this crossed down, right? Let's just draw it up over here. If this dropped dramatically, let's just say the MACD, right, is like this, and it goes like that, and then it drops down, and then you just curl up, right? If that actually would have crossed, hey, that could be ugly, right? Very likely to test the low, go make a new one. And that's why a lot of the time when you see it cross, if you're going to see that wick, it will wick like this and then come back up because it is likely to take out that level for a little bit. But if you get that higher low, it's the same look. It's really, as long as it's close to the center line, it looks good to me. No, good question. Very good question. Because we talk about divergences all the time, but higher lows are just as important as divergence, really. Because it's just another thing that gets you, it's very good with MACD, right? Very good if you understand the MACD to look for those higher lows as well. Oof. AMC, that's a pretty big rejection. Damn. All right, Netflix. Come on, dude. All right, Netflix. Chill out. Get your daily pullback, all right? You got Netflix, you gotta flush a little bit, okay? A lot of orders came into AMC and GME. You gotta get liquidity here. So all those rich hedge funders, you gotta sell your Netflix and sell your Cinemark, okay? You gotta pay for AMC and GME. You gotta suppress that thing or else you guys are screwed. You're not gonna get your bonuses at the end of the year, guys. Come on. Poor guys. Man, what a stressful time to be them. Like, if you think you're stressed out, like losing 2K, 3K, 4K or something like that, imagine those guys right now. Makes you feel pretty good. Makes you feel like, oh, at least I'm not losing $1 billion this week. Next, Netflix and Spot to the moon. They are going to the moon right now. That turn down from Netflix would be kind of random. Spotify, let me look at that one. Yeah, Spotify as well, just going to the moon. It really is. I think the opportunity here is more of that 2-hour pullback scenario. You didn't really get a 30-minute. That is a freaking great move, though. You haven't even gotten a 30-minute pullback for an opportunity. You could literally, though, Spotify could go all the way down to 420 on a 30-minute pullback, and it would make sense. And it could curl up into positive territory and go test those highs at 482. That's wild, wild move. On a bad earnings, too. On a negative 14.11% surprise there. Jesus. And the revenue, about a negative 1% surprise there. So just interesting. Did they say AI? Everyone always goes, when you say AI, you know? All right, SPY. Let's still do this. Let's really, I keep putting up a 30 minutes, just muscle memory, but I should be looking at an hourly here. Just know this MACD, that's a pretty high reading, right? If you really scale out and you look, that's a pretty high reading for an hourly MACD. So triple divergence could be on the table here, right? Always be open to it curling up higher. Creating that divergence really close to the center line is more the opportunity. Damn. I'm gonna be at my desk all day today again. We will set up some closing streams, some longer streams. I'm still trying to set up a bunch of things. Someone asking, hey, can you become a full-time streamer yet? No, unfortunately, can't yet. I would love to, and that's why I appreciate you guys liking these videos. I would love to. Right now I gotta work and do other things still. It's just, the thing is, if the economic environment was like 5 years ago, I could stop doing everything else I'm doing and just stream and trade for sure. Because trading's the main income, right? But I could stop right now if it was 5 years ago. Like if I look at my bills from 5 years ago compared to now, oh my God, I could stop immediately and just be like, okay. But in order to keep growing, you gotta save, you gotta save, you gotta save. Unfortunate. Nike, we haven't looked at that. Nike. Oh God, if this has earnings, please tell me it doesn't have earnings. Please tell me you're not asking me about something with earnings. God damn it. Okay, earnings is a little bit farther off, so that's good. Daily curling up here. Did we get a hint for this? And is there an opportunity right now? Look at the daily turning up. You guys want to talk about divergences, right? You guys want to talk about basing out signals. Look at this. Save. What I'm hearing is go all in. Oh, God, that's funny. Look at this. Nike, you wanted to see good basing out signals? Right there. Right there. Are we seeing extreme positivity? No, but we're taking back the 5 and we're trying to cross up the daily today. So this says, hey, this could be a base. You're below the 200, so you got to make sure to manage risk. If that 2-hour crosses down, you can go down for a flash move, make another little taper off there. But hey, that's a great signal. We'll see if this can produce upside. If that confirms down, not a good sign. Do you see any signals that could say, yeah, we are going to confirm down? You kind of do. You kind of do, but you're getting rid of them after you test the 5. So that 30-minute curls up one more time. I think this thing might actually go. I don't think this will be able to make like some tiny divergence here. If it does, you got to react, but I think that would really gear up to break through some obvious resistance levels. But daily turning up here, what does that mean? This is all happening before earnings. So you could have a get out of jail free card. If this thing goes up until earnings and then you go, okay, now I can just sell to make some profit and maybe even leave some runners just in case. Awesome. May risk for Friday expiry. 7 days out? Okay, at least you're giving yourself a little bit of time. I was like, I thought you meant tomorrow. I was like, I don't know. You want to see great signals on shorter time frames for that. Volatility turning down again on a 30-minute. So something to pay attention for volatility. If we're going to get some kind of flash move up, this is what you're going to see from volatility. You're going to see that. If that's going to be some kind of rug pull, you're going to see that. Volatility does have a 2-hour divergence. It's just not at the same time as the SPY. Okay, you do not see this on SPY. If I just pull this and you see this, look. Okay, then we need to see on the SPY, we need to see that in the opposite direction. So we need to see a big upward move, a lackluster move, and that falling. All right, do we see that? We see the big upward move, but we don't have the lackluster move. We don't even have this by the center line. So that volatility coming in could just be a push down that then curls the 2-hour back up, and then you see that signal. So we're looking for it at the same time as the SPY. For now, I do think that flash move higher would make sense first. Daily VIX already broke a lot of things. Daily volatility has already crossed on the MACD. We said short squeeze if that happens, we short squeeze. All right, we say if that cannot hold up at the 200, that short squeeze will continue. Obviously, that was with a big gap, so it's unfortunate it's with a big gap. I keep saying that because it is. Do you work at Starbucks? No. No, I do not. I'm in marketing. So I market for a few companies. Social media marketing. If anyone needs a guy, maybe I'll help you out. I do consulting and things like that as well. But we'll see if this is going to prove to be anything. We're getting that 2-hour. A reaction would make sense, but that could be something small, right? I think it's more likely as we break the 200. What did we say in the past? Hey, this, short squeeze if we drop from here, right? Some reversal signals in here, short squeeze. That's what we said back here. If you lose the 200, you're probably going to go down to 1212. 1212. That's where you make the divergences for the next pop. So this, okay, if this crosses, short squeeze. Yeah, if we turn back up, that's different, but if you cross the 200 and you keep going lower, yeah, it's more likely to end up down towards 1212, and then down here is where you'll make those divergences. That's why the bullish trend can continue for a little bit of time. I'd really like to see a correction that starts us off with those divergences and then see this later on going into January of 2025, which is something I'm leaning towards. Volatility going into 2025. But yeah, it can end up down towards 1212. We'll still pay attention to the signals for now for a corrective move, but that's mainly what I think you're going to get is a corrective move. If things change, we're going to see weeklies making dramatic moves. We're going to see monthlies turning over. The way you know that it's going to extend to the downside is just by zooming out. The monthly scale will be able to turn down and turn down on this MACD. That's what you will know. And look at this. You're going right up to that monthly move. You got to spread things out. If we're going to see something more drastic, see more bear market, well, then that monthly is going to turn down. And guess what? Volatility is going to be above 20. So if volatility gets back above 20 randomly, we got to change the thinking. Right now, it just looks like, hey, I'm moving sideways. I was in a short squeeze. I'm moving sideways, trying to convince people to get bearish probably, and then I'm going to cross up, and then I'm going to do this if people try to get bearish here. If they try to get bullish, they go, okay, let's get that 2 hour to pull back deeper. Let's get people bearish, right? Ooh, I might like some help with marketing. Hey, photography company. Yeah, I've worked with big car lots, like big car dealerships I've done it for. I've worked with small car dealerships. I've worked with pawn shops. I've worked with mirror stores. I've worked with what, hot tub companies. I've worked with, oh shit, I could just go on and on, man. Restaurants are fun too. Restaurants are great, especially if it's local. I love doing those. Yeah, it's just marketing in my city is different. Like, people here don't understand what is good. They think like a guy who puts an ad out there and can get you 20,000 views is worth like $3,000 a month. And I'm like, that's not a conversion. So I know, free indeed. I don't even go to Starbucks. I won't do it. I like my just black coffee in the morning. But yeah, people here, they just think like, oh, cute girl can do marketing good. That's kind of what the thought is here. You're gonna pay your market. Yeah, they do that too. They try to pay, like, they want you to run their whole social media for like $100 a month or something, and run your ads and make the ads and get you conversions for $100 a month here. And it's like, that's not a thing. TV ads are, if that goes to anything, TV ads are more important to companies here right now. Like, cable TV ads are more important to companies here now than like Facebook ads. And that's just total backwards thinking. Yeah, maybe on Tesla. Okay, so one thing you can do to really, most of the time, a lot of trends or like trend lines and things like that, if you wanted to look over at Tesla, is you want to zoom out first, maybe even to a weekly, right? So something very, very easy to do is find 3 points, right? If you can find 3 points, it's probably a good trend. So back in this area, this is when I made this trend line. Why did I make it there? Because I have 3 points, 1, 2, 3. And then you'll notice that over time, that added up to be a very, very key line. And then when we retake it, retest back in it, come back out, you see a big move to the upside. Okay, so the main thing with creating a trend line is you like to have 3 points. You can set it up when there's 2 and see if a third one happens. And what you want to do a lot of the time is look for divergences as you're about to hit that line a third time, because that would be a good inclination that this is going to produce some resistance. And then you could say, okay, that most likely will come into importance later. More trend lines, you'll not see me make too many trend lines for like 30-minute moves. Sometimes I'll put a wedge up just to like show it. But for the most part, I'm paying attention to that price action. For a trend line, you just mainly want those 3 points. If you have 3 points and you have it on a bigger scale, that's going to be good. So what can we notice here? So if we notice here, I can just do this. I can go like this and say I have 2 points. Oh, I have 3 points. So this is probably an important line. So if I lose that line, bad things can happen, right? You notice here, we only had 2 points. So this one was a little bit like, maybe, but we broke it. And something bad started to happen. So it ended up being successful. This point here, I think I had 3 points. 1, 2, 3. That's when you start to pay attention, maybe. I'm gonna delete those off. Just delete any trend lines I have here, but that's at least how I see it. Now you can do it on shorter time frames. It's just not gonna work out a lot of the time, okay? Because especially on like a 30-minute or something like that, like a lot of the time you can see, okay, well, we're really trying to hold this direction. It's more just an overall direction. But yeah, I like it on the bigger time frames personally. Who the hell watches TV nowadays? Exactly. Perfect entry in and out on Tesla liquidity zones. Awesome, Kalani, like it. So it broke out upwards. That means you're probably in an uptrend, right? So this means, hey, we're breaking out for an uptrend. And if we do something here, we might even be able to go like, okay, let's find a random point and see what happened. Uh-oh, look at that. Almost 1, 2, 3. So you could almost say, hey, if I wanted to take a full measured move of how high, like the highest point that I think Tesla could get, if this all was playing out, Tesla could get to like $600. Now, do I take measured moves into consideration with my trading? Not necessarily. I'm more looking for those weekly moves to convince me when to take profit and things like that, unless I'm looking at an investment. So yeah, that's what I would overall look for. I'll leave that one up since it was kind of important then. But yeah, so you'd be creating these type of lines. I want to see which way the trend is going on a weekly scale, so I know, like, hey, should I be bullish or bearish? Right now you would be like, okay, so this is a bullish trend. Right? You can almost see that weekly cup and handle right there. Break into the upside. So if this rotates all the way down, we could look for that to go like this and then bounce off that level. Awesome. That would be a corrective move. So for hourlies and things like that, a little bit different, right? It doesn't play, it's kind of like everything else, right? Crazier things happen on shorter time frames. So should I expect trend lines to hold up or break down more correctly on shorter time frames, or less correctly on shorter time frames than bigger ones? You would say less correctly. On bigger time frames, you see less crazy stuff. But yeah, if you just look back and you go like this and you go daily scale, okay? Because I know this is where we started talking a little bit bearish about Tesla. People thought I was crazy. People thought this thing was breaking out. Notice this, we get the fake out move above that. What happens with the trend line? Ooh, triple divergence. Ooh, big drop with the triple divergence, right? So for this tag right here, the trend line was very, very handy. And you had 3 points to help you out with that, which is fantastic. Tesla would be fun to go through for that bear market, by the way. Or just like the time where it was really sketchy to the downside. So yeah, and I don't try to make things too complicated, right? Once you start to make it complicated, you overcomplicate the trades. I just want to say, hey, are there 3 points? Are there 2 points? And maybe we're going to make a third. Well, if we're going to make the third, and this is going to be an important trend line, then we're going to make a third point most of the time. So if I'm seeing divergence right here, as we hit that area, well, then I would say this is going to experience weakness. It experienced weakness with earnings. Easily could have broke out is with earnings. But now you know that's an important line. We broke through it, retested back into it, saw us break through again. So good stuff. Tesla pullback to 280. It's possible, right? 4 hour turns down. You could be in a 4 hour extended pullback. If you're going to go down to 280 and stop, then I think your 2 hour is going to reverse back up. If you're going to go down to 280 and turn back up, the thing is going down to 280 on the 2 hour, it's going to be difficult not to turn down the 4 hour, but you'll see maybe that's able to just touch it for a brief moment and turn back up. But we have no reversal signals in here yet, so I think this would make the most sense. So I think 280 could make sense, right? It's just wherever that wants to get to turn around. We could still just fondle around in here forever, and then we could fondle around in here for a little bit, create a 30-minute divergence, right? We could see a drop, pop, drop, and then it's done. But we're not behaving like a bear market, like, right? We don't have volatility in a level where bear market behavior comes into play, really. It's just sitting around 14, right? Yeah, and it's even coming below that. People are getting pretty complacent. I'm gonna, yeah, with 2 hour, 4 hour, whatever one looks the most clear. Whatever looks the most clear, right? So remember when we switched from the 30-minute yesterday? Well, the 30-minute, very, very elongated. One little thing here, wasn't able to curl, held up here, able to curl, but curled back down. Once you start to see this very elongated and very flat, kind of like just flat downward, just straight down, okay, maybe I want to see a bigger time frame confirmation here because it looks like we're just moving sideways. So once it starts to look wonky to you, you start to go, okay, I need to see a bigger. And it's always good to pay attention to a bigger time frame, right? The bigger time frame, as that crosses, that's going to be the more important one. If this is going to be a strong move, the hourly has to turn up. Notice the 30-minute turned up, not a strong move because the hourly is still backing off. So when do I really change versus weekly versus this versus that? First, I'm looking at the macro things just to be aware of it. Then I'm looking at a 4 hour to be like, do we have divergence? No, so that weekly doesn't really look like it's going to cross. Do we have daily, right? Mainly not even 4 hour, mainly it's daily. Do we have daily divergence? No, but that daily's up really high, right? So if I looked at a weekly and I go, okay, this daily is up really high though. So if that daily is going to back off, what do I need to see? I need to see probably at least at 1 or 2 2-hour divergences here. Do I see one? No. So most likely this trend does continue. But is it going to do this then continue, or is it just going to keep going like this and then see a pop one day? So that's what we're looking for. Can it pop? And then if we see that, that's when we'll go, okay, daily pullback can start. It starts to add up to a daily pullback is likely. Yeah, and Kapil, I shouted you out. Thank you for taking the course. I'm glad that you asked that question. Hopefully that was helpful, but the main thing, keep it simple, is something very, very huge. Keeping things very simple will help you out. It'll help you out in making decisions as well. A very simple thing. Oh, a 2-hour trade. How do I manage that trade? Well, if the thing that I need to do in order to manage the trade is curl over on a select chart that we talk about in the course, well, then you might want to be like, okay, that curled over. I'm out. You know what I mean? Yeah, thank you for the question, Kapil. Very, very good. Triple witching on December 20th. Ooh. Let's see if we get that Santa rally, right? People are calling it now. Usually there's always that time of like questioning, are we going to get a Santa rally? We're heading down. Are we going to get a selling or a Santa rally? Very well can. I guess the SPY is good to watch for a little bit on the hourly. So now that the hourly is getting extended, as it extends further and it's pretty flat, I can start to pull up a 2-hour and be like, hey, pretty much anytime my gut too says I need a bigger time frames to confirmation to get into this, I still think the hourly is good here. But in order for the hourly to look good, it's probably got to break through these levels, which would just cross up a 2-hour at that point, I think. Okay, let's look over here real quick. It is 2:50 or 9:59 for me, so I'm gonna have to hop off soon. But let me look real quick at anything that's happening. The DIA, I would really pay attention to that one, giving you a hint, seeing if that hourly can turn up, because that one's like more loopy. I like that this one's a little more looping down. That's great. IWM looping down. Yeah, it's by the center line. You might be in an extended 2-hour pullback, but this is really where I want to pay attention. This is gap support. So if we're going to do something bad, it's going to look like that. If we're going to do something good, then the 2-hour will curl up here. And maybe we do what? And then just the direction though for next week might be dictated by the end of this week. That's the interesting thing, unless we just see a profit taking thing. Apple trying to go positive there. Very good. I just do not want Apple to curl down here. Look how it's still controlled. If we stopped here, you would make the 2-hour divergence the 30-minute divergence. 30-minute divergence here still would be okay. It's extended, so maybe hourly is what I'm looking for. Oh. $4.99 Jackal, thanks so much for the $4.99. Really do appreciate it. Based on how September, October went, I believe that our EOY rally, given macro and global condition, things may get rough. I think it's a good reminder. That's a good statement. It's just the reminder is markets do not have to behave how the economy, how anything else behaves. You could see something absolutely terrible happen in the world that you think could be a black swan, and then you just see a 2-hour chart curl up into positive territory. Okay? So just keep that in mind. Usually if something bad is going to happen, you're going to get a hint. Usually if something bad is going to happen, you are going to get a hint. Look at the daily scale. Do we have great divergences? I would still say no. I think we're getting rid of the near divergences in here. We have a bunch of wonkiness happening across. When we do see bad things happen, we usually see something get a little bit more obvious. like this squeeze, it took a lot of time, got more significant from this point down. That's when you start to pay attention. 2-hour chart made a double top. All right, when things are looking bad to the downside and you're gonna see a big upward move, what are you gonna see? You're usually gonna see a very simple divergence. If you're gonna get bullish, it's usually very simple. If you're gonna get bearish, it's gonna be more complicated. That's why shorting is a lot harder than buying calls, because the market goes up, I think, like 80% of the time. And that's it too, laws and wars can be bullish. And actually, you're seeing a lot of things calm down from what I'm seeing. I haven't really looked today, but I read into things, you know, when Trump put out his big thing, I was just like, okay, how are people reacting to this? Okay, SPY. See, but if you start to curl over 4 hours, that's not a good sign. You need to reject here. You need to see this hourly turn up. All right. Well, I got to hop off for today. I do appreciate you guys being here. Thank you guys for liking, subscribing. Jackal, thank you for the donations. Really do appreciate all the donations coming in today. Really appreciate it. It's awesome. Thank you for giving your hard-earned money to buy me a little cup of coffee. Always appreciate that. Bitcoin definitely calming down. Yeah, so we'll look for if that's going to make that next move up. I still think we have the opportunity for these moves to head up, but we're aware of how they can come down, and that's important. Be aware of both sides, trade like water, manage risk, and you will be just fine. Thank you guys for being here today. I hope you have all the luck in the world with your trades for the rest of the day, and I will see you guys later on YouTube, all right? Hopefully, baby girl is good today so that I can have that extra time to really focus on YouTube tonight. All right, guys. If you want to get those courses down in the description, guys, 90% off right now. But other than that, peace out.